You're tuned in to RX Radio.
Oh, hi, Nate Hill. Happy birthday, homie. Shout out. Nate Hill, big birthday guy. Big birthday guy. _Nate_Hill, a.k.a. Mr. 675 for 5. Yeah, huge shout out, man. Happy birthday. Hope you enjoy it. And I think a pretty good episode to have your birthday on, the Joe DeFranco episode at RX'D Radio. Yeah, so anyone listen to RX Radio, go over to at _Nate_Hill. Wish him a happy and strong birthday. Appreciate you, man. Hope all is well. Now, into today's business at hand. Joe DeFranco, friend of the show, friend of the podcast, joining us for the second time. Joe D is one of the OGs. Been around the strength conditioning game for a hot minute. Author of West Side for Skinny Bastards. Has come full circle now. Shredded to the bone. I'm glad we do a video podcast because I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't seeing it. Joe is coming off shoulder surgery. We talk a little bit about that in the episode. Talk about sort of his career, his ability to continue to iterate, his importance of just doing shit. You might not hear it through the thick Jersey accent, but Joe's a monk, man. Joe's one of the realest. He just shows up day in, day out and just does the damn thing. So huge shout out to Joe on that. Prescript stuff. We're paying bills. Prescript Collective live this Friday, January 14th. So mark your calendar on that. Really interesting product we're bringing to market on the education front, bringing you industry leaders and in what's called our Emerging Ideas lecture series. So every month you're going to get 2 keynote speakers talking about specific things in the health and fitness industry, from biomechanics to nutrition to sports performance, everything from Major League Baseball strength and performance coaches, bodybuilding coaches, PhD nutritionists. We're going to have a really interesting curated roster of speakers for you month over month. We're also going to have access to our Prescript community 24/7 with all of our coaches in our entire network. Also having a technique lab weekly or technique labs weekly, going through the fundamentals of movement assessment and intervention. A really cool hour experience that we'll host 2 to 3 times a week. So you can sign up for that, interact with coaches, go through movement assessments, talk about interventions. So again, that's Prescript Collective, Friday, January 14th. Do head over to the prescript.com for pre-script.com to register on Friday. Also, Prescript Barbell is also up for sale. This course will go live March 3rd. Revamped 9-week course going over progressions, regressions, adaptations, and optimizations of the big 3 movements. Not bird dog, side plank, curl up, rather squat, bench, and deadlift. Comes with this course. Just released the barbell manual. So this course will have supported video lectures online every week for 9 weeks, plus live lectures, plus a lab, plus the manual. This is the most comprehensive big 3 barbell training course offered. I can guarantee it. The addition of the manual, very excited about that. So guys, to recap quickly, Nate Hill, happy birthday. Joe D episode. Joe, appreciate you coming on. Prescript Collective comes out Friday. Prescript Barbell up for sale now. Course goes live March 3rd. Whew. Did it. All right, guys. Enjoy the episode. Nate, enjoy your birthday. Actually, Nate's birthday is on Friday, mind you, the 14th. So we're jumping the gun, but I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and we'll see you next week. Well, the best part about you is you've not only evolved with the times, but you somehow keep on getting in better shape, which is like really fucking annoying. Because I was like, I'm going to stay in the game. I'm just going to do the Joe D thing. I'm going to go private sector. I'm going to work my way into like the NFL. And then hopefully I just don't have to work out anymore. And then I just keep watching you, and like you're my canary down the coal mine. And it's like you're more shredded now than I think you've ever been.
Well, yeah, I never shredded was never my thing. I was always like the big bulky guy that just kind of blamed my genetics and like, I'm not meant to have abs. Meanwhile, I look back and I was having, 2 pizzas for dinner every night and, pancakes and freaking waffles for breakfast every morning. But I had that meathead mentality where I was a lot healthier joint wise, when you're young. So I was lifting heavy. So I felt I could eat whatever the hell I wanted. But now I look back and I see some of those pictures and it's like, I I fucking swallowed myself. Like, what the hell looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But yeah, so I went the other route now, trying to get leaner and a little healthier.
You're just big boned. That's what I was told as a kid. You're just big boned. It's like, thanks, Mom. I appreciate your input on this.
Hey, you go with those things, though. I believed it for about 44 years. I believed it.
What was the switch? Because I know you were coming off your shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
Was that the catalyst?
Yeah, that started it. Because the last time I saw you, I hadn't gotten my MRI yet. I just knew the shoulder was fucked up. And, but I guess I fooled I went to 3 different surgeons, and I'm like the most claustrophobic person in the world. It's my one thing. Like, I rather have surgery than a fucking MRI. So I kept putting off the MRI. So I went to 3 different surgeons who examined me, and they do like the classic push here, and they're like, I don't think your shoulder's as bad as you think. I think you're all right. You don't need surgery. But I knew I did well at all those tests, but under load, like, I couldn't do anything. I got to the point where literally the only things I could do is a body weight push up, which still hurt, but I could do it, and like a micro mini band pull apart. And I wasn't going to go the next 40 years doing only that. So I finally got the MRI, and it turned out my bicep tendon was completely torn. They said it was like 90% torn, supraspinatus tendon over 90% torn, infraspinatus torn, subscap torn, labrum torn, and then throwing a bunch of like bone chips and fractures and shit. And they were like, whoa, you fooled a lot of people, because you still had a decent amount of strength and mobility, but clearly you need major surgery. And it was coming off the surgery. It was just one of those things where I made the switch, like, is my goal going to be to, try to bench 500 pounds and do this crazy shit at 46? Or maybe I should make my goals a little bit more realistic and a little more joint friendly, so to speak. So I do better when I have something to train for, even though I love lifting, and it's like we're all in this because we love going to the weight room. It's our therapy. We enjoy it. But if I have something to shoot for, it's just so much more fun. I have, a specific goal. I just enjoy it more. So I think it was more of a mental thing. While it was a year-long recovery, and at least that gave me something to like plan and shoot for. For the first time in my life, I want to have abs. And I set more like relative strength goals, like push-up goals and chin-up goals, rather than I want to bench double my body weight, or some of my old goals were. And that was the shift, because along with those goals, you have to clean up your diet. You're not going to be good at push-ups and chin-ups and dips and reverse lunges and Bulgarian split squats if you're a fat bastard. So it kind of just tied into the diet, and I kind of got obsessed with it, and here we are today. I'm as lean as I've ever been at 46.
Did you have any like early relapses? Like, because I'm just thinking, I've done this before. It takes me about 3 days of not eating dessert for dinner for me to get the ball rolling. It's like tipping over a pop machine. Like, it takes a few, but if I can get past 3 days, like, okay, I'm sweet. But I don't ever see past 2 days. 2 days, like, this is dumb. What am I doing? Fuck this, Uber Eats.
Dude, you're spot on with the 3 days. That's the timeline, because if I'm being honest, every night, like you talk about the relapse, it wasn't like, 6 months in. No, every night I ate perfect from the time I woke up till about 10, 11 p.m. And then the late night, like, once you get in the habit of like cereal or ice cream or that something sweet after dinner type of deal, it really is like an addiction, and you need it and want it. And it went, although I think it's also a good point. I think a lot of people, when they set goals for themselves, I actually just spoke about this at Phil DeRue's conference. I was hoping to see you at. We missed you, but getting athletes, and this working with athletes, like from the diet perspective, you could be the highest level athlete in the world, and they're not the highest level eaters in the world. I've had more pro football players that literally eat McDonald's 3 times a day than they come in and their diet is on point and they have like this nutrition knowledge. Like most don't really know much about nutrition. So I learned early in my career, don't take the guy that's eating McDonald's 3 times a day and is in the NFL anyway. So clearly he's doing all right. Don't try to get that guy eating, chicken breast and broccoli now 3 times a day. It's not gonna work. You need to slowly make those changes. Like I would literally start with, hey, you go to McDonald's 3 times a day. Can we start with go twice tomorrow instead of 3 times? And then go once and maybe switch the soda with water, and you make the slow, gradual changes. And I've had better success with that. So I did that with myself. I said, you know what, in the beginning, I'm going to eat clean all day, allow myself to take my kids out for ice cream at night or whatever it may be. And I did like one shitty meal, one cheat meal a day. I did that for a few weeks and then finally cut out that nighttime ice cream, cereal, whatever it was. And it is hard. You got to get through 3 days. You're spot on. Once you get by the 3 days, then you start becoming more like obsessed with, wow, I've never looked like this before. I woke up and I saw an ab for the first time in 46 years. This is kind of cool. And then you get that momentum going and it's a bit easier. But I gradually had to progress into it, because when I tried doing it all at once, I literally relapsed every night.
Are you there? Like, have you reached the goal? Like, you're pretty fucking shredded, dude. Like, I don't know what else you plan on doing. Like, is there a reverse diet phase where like, what's the goal? Like, what now?
Yeah, that's the tough thing too, because I did the date I kind of had set, and I don't plan on going back to, for me, like 230, 235 was when I was big bloated mess. But I'm never going back there. But I just came out, or I'm coming out in 2 to 3 weeks, my new rebuilt program, which is more of it's the first program I've ever put out that's not just geared towards athletes and athletic performance. It's more the washed up meathead, which, I refer to like the 30 plus crowd that's had some injuries, maybe surgery, joint pain, a little more like aesthetic based than just more performance based. So on December 11th was when we were filming all the exercise index library for that video. We shot like a really cool promo video. So that was the goal, to like get as shredded as possible for that day. And I went into that saying, when I'm done with this, I'm not going to go crazy. I want to kind of maintain this now. But while we filmed it in my garage, and while we're filming, my wife decides to make freaking brownies with marshmallows and chocolate chips in it for my kids. So that shoot wasn't over 30 seconds, and I had a dozen brownies and just totally gorged myself and did everything that I said I wasn't, which led into the holidays. And here we are now. I'm about 12 pounds over what I was a week and a half ago. But so I'm going to let myself kind of just live through the holiday, and then I'll get back on track. I sound like everyone else. Get back on track January 1st with all the other assholes that are going to the gym.
Was it difficult recalibrating your training goals?
Yes, because I'm a meathead at heart. I love lifting heavy, benching heavy, which, got me into a lot of the issues in the first place, but football, I can't say, not to pat myself on the back, but I'm not one of those guys. I'm not going to sit here and say like lifting heavy is bad or I did everything wrong. Like I also played football competitively at a pretty high level. Like my high school was ranked number 2 in the country, number 1 in the state. I went on to play college. Like I had a lot of my wear and tear was from football. I don't want to put all the blame on lifting heavy for 35 plus years. Certainly it contributed to it, but that's my main love is lifting heavy. Like I'm a 1 to 3 rep guy forever. I don't want anything over 5 is cardio. I hate it. So that was a huge shift for me. But, you know, I had, I don't want to say, I don't know the phrase to use, but not the luxury, but see, my dad was like super meathead, got me into training, and he can't do anything, right? He has 2 replaced shoulders, a replaced hip, low back surgeries. You know, he's 75 now. So yes, he's older, but like if you met him, you know, from a mental standpoint, like he would still, if his joints were intact and he didn't have replaced shoulders and hips falling apart, he'd be in the gym every day. Like, and him not having that, it's affected him mentally, like bad, you know, like he's, you know, depression, anger, you know, it's really affected him. And I guess seeing that, it made me realize like, hey, that's the other alternative. Like you switch your goals and maybe it's not your preferred way of training, but you could still train hard and go to the gym every day. Or you could go back to your old goals and maybe end up like that. But instead of ending up like that at 60, that might be me in another, you know, 3 to 4 years. So that was helpful in a weird way, is like seeing how miserable my dad is without the gym. I said, all right, I'll take, you know, option B and kind of focus on weighted push-ups and chin-ups and that in single leg squats and unilateral work, as opposed to, you know, the barbell and once you get into it, you know, now I've actually kind of enjoyed it because it's a new challenge for me, because it wasn't something that I was naturally good at. I'm naturally better at 1 to 3 reps. So this is something that's a cool challenge for me at 46 years old.
Yeah, it's always tough because like you watch the West Side guys and you watch them go in, day out for their entire lives, and sometimes that's a very short span of time. And it's like people kind of look at, you know, they might look at changing your goals as not being dedicated, where I argue it takes more dedication to do what you did, right? Like it's there's no badge of honor that like there's this like proclamation of like a badge of honor, this facade of a badge of honor of like the guy going in the gym the next day with his shoulder in a sling doing like safety squat bar. It's like, dude, what are we doing here? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, man. Like just give it up. Like try and do a human flag in 6 months. Like don't go for that 600. And I think it takes more dedication and there's more admiration to be had for that than just like being so hard-headed and just being like, no, I'm going to go back and do the same thing that got me in this position to begin with. Like, come on.
It's true. And you know, I've known Dave Tate forever and those guys, and have learned so much from him. And I know you know him and respect the hell out of him as well. But it's like, yeah, you look at all them and they've done such impressive shit in the weight room, but you know, not one of them is, you know, healthy from a joint perspective in their 40s and 50s and beyond. So at what point don't we learn from that? And I also realize, listen, as you know, anything at a high level is not healthy. Like there is an inverse relationship between like being the best at something and health. Like I'm working with some UFC fighters right now. Yes, they're in great shape and they are healthy in some respects because they have to run and train. But is fighting in the UFC healthy? No. Is playing in the NFL and getting in the equivalent of 70 car accidents every week healthy? No. Like if you want to do something at a high level, and lifting is no different. Like you want to be the best power lifter in the world, you want to be the best bodybuilder in the world, or even just better than average, there's going to be aspects of it that just isn't healthy. And if you know that ahead of time and you're okay with it, cool. But like you said, know that there's going to be some consequences, and you do it, you know, play the stupid games long enough, the prizes get better and better. Trust me, it's not fun.
Were there any concerns? Like, I had this when I got injured, where it was like not directly, but strong correlation between my performance and my business. So it's like, and that's a dangerous link to make, whether it's aesthetics, whether it's performance. If your body in some way, shape, or form is your business, and then something goes wrong, it's no longer like, oh, I love to lift. It's like, I love paying my electric bill. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do is be like, oh, I'm going to give you this money and my lights are going to be on. Tremendous transaction. So it becomes a little bit more like primal, like more primitive, more survival mode, where it's like, fuck. Was there ever a point where going through the surgery process, you started to think about like, what will this do to a business or on the business front? Because you are known as being like, the strong football guy.
Yeah, 100%. That was a huge motivator for me, and especially like the first 6 months, because like I said, I'm 14 months post surgery, and the last 2 months like really turned the corner where I don't have limitations and I'm training, and that's what helped my kind of physique transformation. Also was, 3 years before I had the surgery, I don't like to complain. So I I met you, I told you I was having some major shoulder issues, but I'm not dwelling on it. I'm not talking about it every day. But like, I was doing push-ups and micro mini band pull aparts and body weight Bulgarian split squats for 3 years. So I already in my mind, like, I'm like, man, I'm losing a lot of muscle and I'm getting older. Like, the young crop of jacked, smart guys are coming up, and then you have surgery. And then I'm like, shit, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be in worse shape than I've been in for the past 3 years. And again, you think about like, in the Instagram age of the most shredded, jacked guy, gets clients and is able to fool people for a period of time. Like, I don't want to be that old, out of shape guy that's like, oh yeah, remember him? He used to put out some good information. Now he's, the skinny fat guy, So that was a huge motivator. And those first 6 months where you have like hiccups in your rehab and you wake up and your shoulder feels worse than it did before the surgery. I had at least a dozen times where I was 100% sure the surgery was botched and something went wrong, because I'm like, dude, it's 6 months. I've been taking every supplement known to mankind for like joint and connective tissue health. I'm going to rehab 4 times a week. I'm doing everything you said. And it's 6 months later and I'm still, barely able to do push-ups. Like, something's wrong. But it took longer, like the surgeon told me. And that was certainly my motivation. It's like, hey, people kind of forgot about me for the past couple of years. I want to get some attention, not because I have a huge ego, but because certainly it will help my business. Like, it as you know, it just does. If it would be great if we were all just judged on our knowledge and the results we got with our clients.
You don't mean that. There's no way you mean that. Would be terrible. Because like COVID kind of like leveled the playing field for a few years. And you had these kids like in their mom's basement who've never been on a training floor, never worked in a team setting, never had 30 guys in a room, and you got to like fucking steer the ship and put together stations and rest periods and like this core. No, I don't ever want that. You don't ever want someone to just be judged on like what they know. I think that would be a terrible world. And that was like where this was headed for a few years. Like, now that the things are opening up, it's like, oh, there's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think people want that, but you don't want that.
Well, but when I say what they know, I'm experience-wise, like how you get results with your
like, it'd be great if me and you could just get fat. Is basically, if we could just like every 2 days, like, fuck this diet, this is dumb. Joe, I'm getting cold stone. You want some? Like, yeah, that'd be dope. Me and you should get a pass. You especially get a pass. You should be able to be like Shaco. Just like,
I do feel like there may be, I don't know what the cutoff point is, but I don't know if you make it to 50 and you started when you're 21, at 50, people should give you a pass where it doesn't matter what the hell you look like. You produce results for 30 plus years. Go eat your ice cream every day. We won't hold it against you. But yeah, I don't know. People still judge a book by its cover.
I think we all got to move to Russia. I feel like that's not an issue in Russia. Like I see Shaco and it's just like, this guy hasn't lifted a weight in 30 years and he's still the dude.
Yeah. And there is, there are, like I looked up to and I actually got to go to one of his very last in-person seminars, like Charlie Francis, when I would come up, training athletes and more for like the combine and speed. I was obsessed with early in my career. So I read everything, obsessed with Charlie Francis's stuff. He didn't give a lot of seminars towards like the end of his career. And he did one in Connecticut. I don't even know how I found out about it, but and again, being a huge fan and learning a ton from him in person for 2 days at one point, but from afar as well. Like, not the most impressive guy, especially when I met him. Big pot belly, like older dude, not a big personality or anything, but he was judged on the information he put out, the results that he got, and you would hope that is the most important thing. Like, really, who gives a shit what he looks like? But I think that it's certainly the icing on the cake in our industry. If you know your shit, you get results, you have a client list that you've produced results with, and you've done it for yourself, for a long period of time, that certainly helps.
Was it weird to go from the guy in the audience at the seminar of like the Charlie Francis to being the guy giving it? Like, when was the first time where someone came up to you and like recognized you? Like, oh my God, you're Joe DeFranco. Like, no, sir, You don't have to pay a drop-in fee here. That's preposterous. Like, was that weird? Like, when does that ever not get weird?
Dude, it's still totally weird to me. Totally weird. I don't know. And that's another thing I don't like about our industry. Dude, at the end of the day, like, it's not rocket science. We're not curing cancer. I love this industry, and we really do change people's lives. But too many in this industry get a little bit of notoriety and like they start thinking they are who they are. It's like, dude, we're coaches, we're personal trainers. Like we're not that special. But I guess I was just raised by like a strict military state trooper, freaking lunatic who put me in my place. Me and my sister in our place. Growing up, it was all about like, be humble, be respectful. So it's still super weird. No, I shouldn't say weird. It's humbling and it's awesome, but I'm still not used to it. Like at an airport, going to a seminar and someone's on the way to the seminar as well and asking. I'm sure you get it. Like at the end of every certification or seminar, a line of people waiting to take pictures with you. It's like, it's cool as hell, and it's still hard to believe. But I don't have an answer because I'm still not used to it, and it's been like shit, like, I don't know, a good 15 to 20 years now since like that first person recognized me from YouTube and asked to take a picture with me.
Do you have like specific career like inflection points where you're like, I did this, or I worked with this person, or maybe it was like after the podcast, I'm assuming with its success and popularity? Or are there if you look back through the pages of like the Joe D story so far, are there chapters that jump out like, okay, this was a huge inflection point in popularity, notoriety, like airports were going to be a thing now after this?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. Like my first big, so I wrote that West Side for Skinny Bastards for T Nation, right? That was like my first big article, and I think not to pat myself on the back, but there weren't a lot of people like showing what they like. There was a lot of people that wrote articles, but you never saw their clients or them actually training, or it was like, a clip of them doing a perfect rep of an exercise where they knew the cameras were set up. Like I used to set up a tripod and film actual sessions and show the shitty reps and like what actually went on in a gym. And that's what the West Side for Skinny Bastards article, which then I came out with the Super Strength DVD, which was first a VHS tape. That's how long we're going. 2002 VHS tape And my mastering the football combine tests was actually even before that. So that was like the first one in my storage closet, training guys for the NFL combine in a storage closet where you couldn't even run. It was literally 500 square feet. But we came up like, I just studied that shit. I was obsessed with like how to get better at these tests and coming up with like, getting guys stronger and faster and physically helping them, but also figuring out little like technique tricks to do better at these tests. That thing blew up, and it's crazy now thinking about it because the internet was like just a thing. So I took an ad out in the NSCA journal on the inside front cover. I remember it was like $2,000 or something. I didn't even have the money. I had to put it on a credit card, and it got out there. And then I remember I was personally mailing these big ass VHS tapes. I was going to the post office twice a week and mailing out like 3 VHS tapes, 2 VHS tapes. And then all of a sudden it was like 20 and then 30. And then it was like other countries, like, whoa, somebody from Scandinavia ordered the freaking combine VHS tape. This is crazy. Then one of my guys the next year is at his pro day, and we, not to get too deep in the woods of the NFL combine, but the 3-cone drill is a drill where you run 5 yards, touch the line with your right hand, run back, touch the line with your right hand, do like a figure 8 around these cones and finish. Because it's a right hand touch, most guys are right-handed, so they put their right hand down when they're in a 3-point stance. But if you put your left hand down and your right foot forward, you could touch the line with your right hand in one less step. So it doesn't seem like much, but it's a little technique tweak that literally will shave like a half of a second off that test, because everyone would take this little extra choppy step when they did the 3-cone drill. I had one year where the top 5 times in the country I was training like 6 guys, and 5 of them broke the all-time 3-cone drill record. And then I put the VHS tape out, and like I showed that technique. They banned a left-handed start at pro days the next year. So like that kind of like turned me into the combine guy. And then I started getting a ton of clients for the NFL combine, even though I was in a shitty 500 square foot storage closet. I'm like competing against Athletes Performance in Arizona that's got a 100,000 square foot facility and indoor turf field. So like that was a big catalyst. And then, I had a couple clients, like Miles Austin was a small school kid from Monmouth University that went undrafted, signed with the Cowboys, and then ended up signing for $56 million 2 years later as the first undrafted dude out of Monmouth College in New Jersey. Never had an NFL guy in the history of the school, non-scholarship 1AA school. And then like that was another big one. Then I got offered a reality show, which we ended up turning down. But I don't know if you know this, but fun fact, I was under contract with Buna Murray, who that's like the production company that does like the Kardashians.
Yeah.
I was under contract with them 2006, 2007 for a reality show at my gym, which would have blown things up. But before the show got picked up, they started changing what it was supposed to be and was like trying to turn it into like the Jersey Shore gym show. And that's the best no. You talk about it's either a hell yeah or a no. That was very hard to do because I'm seeing money and holy shit, I'm going to be famous and this is going to be incredible. To turn that down, I look back. Yes, I may have been a bigger name right now, but for all the wrong reasons. And it's probably the best no I ever did. But still a cool story that, all this stuff started happening. So sorry to go on that whole long tangent, but like those are a couple key points that really, then like Men's Health would name me one of the top 10 gyms in the country, even though I had a 500 square foot storage closet. Like I don't even think people realized how small, it wasn't even a gym. It was a closet in an existing health club. And I'm started getting all these accolades, but that's kind of the first couple things when you asked that question that come to my head, and then shit started to snowball from there.
Is it weird to go like, I mean, you have like almost like flashbulb memories. Like I would look at program writing or article writing as like, when was the last time I did this? Like when, you know, when we do the podcast now, it's hilarious to be here. Because last time when I did with you, I had like a small recorder and 2 headset mics that have been in my backpack for 2 years. And now I have this. But with you, like, you know, you talked about West Side for Skinny Bastards. And now you're talking about this new program that you're launching that you just filmed in the garage. Is it hard, or do you get caught up when you're doing these things or writing these programs to be like, holy shit? 'Cause you don't strike me as someone that gets too nostalgic. Like you really like, okay, what's coming through the windscreen right now? Is it when you're doing these things and you look at iterations of programs or articles that you've written, you're like, holy shit, did I just say VHS tape? Like, is it odd to look back and be like, does it seem like a long time, or does it seem like?
It's so weird because it seems like there's a part of me that it feels like a lifetime ago. And I talk about the storage closet and all that, like VHS tapes, like, yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago, but then I could remember, like, I have like photographic memory of like I was there yesterday. What the storage closet smelled like, and I could tell you like who my 10:30 a.m. clients were on a Thursday morning in 2003. But it also does feel like a lifetime ago. Like, holy shit, I was 27. I'm 46 now. So it's strange in that there's, depending on like the time of day and what I'm thinking about, it could feel like a complete lifetime ago. Like, was that a dream? Did that really happen? Or it could feel like, wow, that feels like yesterday. I can't believe 25 years have gone by. It's a weird thing. But you're right. I think it's contributed to some of the success. I'm a very like, put your blinders on and go. Like, what do I have to do today? I'm not a big like 5-10 year plan guy. I've never written a business plan in my life. I've been in business 25 years, don't know how to write one, but I've had some like, steady success over 2.5 decades. And I really think it's because I haven't like stopped and thought and think too much about the future or the past. It's just, what do I have to do today? If it's a new program, I get engrossed and it's all in until that's done. And then, all right, what's the next thing? And then all in until that's done. And then next thing you know, like, the scary thing is when you live that way, though, 25 years goes by and you're like, whoa. I remember we had twins when my biggest gym, the 5,000 square foot gym in Wyckoff, which is like the gym a lot of people know DeFranco's as, because that's when we really got into the YouTube thing and social media started to become a little thing. But I had twin daughters. And even though my gym's only 10, 15 minutes from my house, just being so engrossed at the gym every day, I remember coming home one day and like my 2 girls like walk up to the door and they're like, dad, 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 dad. And I just remember looking at my wife being like, when did they start walking? Like, oh, shit. Whoa. Like, and things like that happen where I'm like, okay, you got to slow down and reflect a little bit, be a little bit more present than always like, what's next, go, go, go. Because that was like, that's like a life moment that stands out to me, is coming home and having these 2 little girls run up to me when I didn't know I live there. I'm there every night. I didn't know they started taking their first steps.
Yeah, I think it's a good message for people to hear. Like, there's a weird softness that's coming over the world, really. But like, I notice it particularly in the dark, historically hard corners of strength conditioning and powerlifting and fitness in the whole. It's like, I don't really care if the world got soft when it came to like video games or tutorials on YouTube. I didn't care. I care now that it's entering into our space a little bit. And part of that like softness to me is like kind of what you said, like business plans and like write down your goals and like What? No, man, fuck it. Do it live. And I think more people would benefit to get or work towards that, like to be more present, or like, I don't want to say reactive, but just be like more present, where a lot of people, especially this time of year, New Year's coming up, people are like writing down their 2022 goals. I'm like, I don't even know when it is. It's like 2022 is on like Saturday. I was like, yeah, I got shit to do on Saturday. I got shit to do on Friday. I got shit to do on Sunday. So, so many people want to be, they want to be in your position. They want to train pro athletes. They want to fucking have these reality TV show deals. They want to have like these iterations over their careers. They want to be known for getting good results. And they go about it in like the most ass backwards kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to journal, and I'm going to meditate. It's like, if you're a strength coach and you're waking up and you're journaling, it's like you should be in the gym. Like you should be first guy in, last guy out. And there's a softness that's like getting away, like, burnout. Has burnout ever affected you? Like you've been in the game for 25 years. Have you ever felt like, and because burnout I think is like, yeah, that's what you feel like when you work. Like you feel tired. Like, there's a, I don't know why it's fucking bothering me now that I'm talking about it. Like, you're the only one that might get it. It's like, coaches, you got to protect yourself, and you got to like, no, fuck you. Like, die if you.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I have the ultimate of, you know how I do. One time I knew I felt burnout, and it was when I was in the fucking hospital because I literally ran myself into the ground. Speaking of tying everything into like, when the NFL Combine program became a huge thing for my business, every December, these guys would come in from all over the country. And because I was a big name in the Combine world, but compared to the other gyms, like I didn't have a secretary. I didn't have like a manager running the Combine stuff. I was setting up their hotels, their nutrition, their training, like it was very busy time of year. Plus, all the high school and college kids had breaks, so they're all home. It was just insane time of year. And I would always, at that point in my life, I had like a 10-year period where February, March, I would get sick. My body would just be run down. And one year I got so sick, like I couldn't even explain it. I felt like I was dying, like shortness of breath, tired, weird feeling. And then I go to the doctor and it just turned out like, do you work a lot? Like, are you, like, I think you're just suffering. You literally burned your body out. And that's the first time I said, or I even thought about fatigue or burnout. Now, to your point, I have young coaches and trainers and like gym owners that have had a gym for 6 months. They come up to me and like, how can I prevent burnout? And what are the signs I should be looking for? And I always say the same thing. I go, I didn't even know what it meant. You know how you know when you're burnt out when you end up in the fucking hospital? Until that time, don't worry about it. Keep going.
And it's so like people are going to hear this and then they're going to like ridicule us for being insensitive. But those are people you just don't, and to put the ball back in the kind of their courts, like you just don't love it enough. Like it's okay. Like it's okay to not want to have to go to the hospital. And that's kind of like, that's not a tough thing. Like it's not me trying to be tough. It's not you trying to be tough. It's like you didn't even notice it because you were probably having so much fucking fun.
Yes.
Like that could have much have been wild.
Yeah, it still worked. But yeah, I loved the training and getting new clients and, going over their goals. And the Combine, I have exactly, 11 and a half weeks to get this guy to do that. I was so engrossed in it and I loved it so much. Yeah, I forgot to eat on certain days, or you're going to McDonald's on the way home because you didn't prepare any food because you're so obsessed with helping out clients and running this business that, exactly to your point, it's a lot of work, yes, but I'm so engrossed in it because I love it so much. You're not thinking about burnout. Like if you're thinking about it, I agree. It's not for you. You're not in the right industry, which is totally fine. Like there's parts of that I even envy a little bit because running yourself into the ground isn't the greatest thing in the world, but you do. It's like the Gary Vee thing. Like he talks about hustle, 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 work, work, work. But he does say a lot like, I'm not telling you to do it. I like to do it. But some people are very happy, 9 to 5, make just enough to pay your bills, stress-free, weekends off. If that's your personality, dude, awesome. Like, we could still be best friends. I don't care. Like, I'm going to do me, you do you, but don't say you want it and then ask me what signs you should be looking for with your burnout.
Yeah,
Like,
I just hate the accusation that ignoring burnout as a thing is like insensitive, or it's like trying to be tough, or it's the opposite. Like, I'm not tough at all. Like, I'm the softest person you'll ever meet in your entire life, and it's because I'm so soft that I'll go 3 days without eating or sleeping because it's like, oh, cool, I get to do this. I could die tomorrow, so I want to make sure I get it all done today. Because I hate, like, people would look at someone, you know, you're a jacked, bald, strong guy, and I'm a dude with a beard. They'd be like, look at these two, like, macho guys. I'm like, I cry watching Disney movies. Like, fuck off, man. Like, it's not a toughness thing. It's like, and I know there's like a few faces in my mind that I'm speaking to directly who are trying to, like, brainwash an incoming cohort of, like, what could be really good coaches and put up these barriers that aren't there. Like, it's not there, man. Like, it's manufactured. Until there's a toe tag that has around my dead fucking big toe that said cause of death burnout. Party on, Garth. Like, I'm gonna keep this fucking this train rolling.
Yeah, good news for everyone listening. If you're thinking about possibly burning out, you're not the guy that's going to burn out. The ones that are burning out, like I said, it's when you're so engrossed, like I was, that you end up in a hospital. But if you're consciously like, well, I'm worried I might burn out, I'm going to write down my morning journal about, don't worry. I'm no doctor, but I guarantee you will not burn out.
Right.
You're
It's like people who are worried about training to failure. It's like, have you been intubated? What's intubated? You haven't trained to failure.
You ever notice all the people that worry or come to you for, like, how do I know if I'm overtraining, are never jacked? Like, they're never it's never like the big jacked strong dude that's like, hey, doc, I need to talk to you. Like, I think I'm overtraining. Can you help me? How do I figure this out? It's always like this skinny, weak kid that looks like he never trained a day in his life that's worried about overtraining and burnout. It's interesting.
Yeah, and it's crazy to hear that from someone who's done it at such a high level for so long. Like, we had K-Star on the podcast like a few months ago, and he cited it was like Jay-Z's definition of excellence was doing something at a high level for a long period of time. Because it's like, you know, we're in an industry where with social media, for better or for worse, like, people can just pop up, right? Like, people can pop up, and it's like, well, where, like, how long is it gonna last? Like, how long is this trend that you're capitalizing on, like, running with fucking yo-yos or whatever people are doing now? It's like, well, where does that go? How does that evolve? You know what I mean? Where it's like, to hear someone who's, you know, been a perennial household name for 25 years go like, yeah, no, I'm still not worried about it.
No, it's the old cliche of, like, and it is true. If you really do love it and you're in it for the right reasons, it never crossed my mind until people started talking about it. And like I said, literally went to the hospital, and they said, I think you don't have the flu. You don't have, like, you ran yourself into the ground. Lack of sleep and a whole lot of work. You need to, and then I was forced to kind of take it slow for a few days, and I was fine. And I went right back to, you know, doing my thing. It was like just going to the gas station. I filled up, and then I went right back to work.
And it's funny, I've had that thought, like, in the last year, like, you know, it'd be nice, a good coma, like a good just 2 weeks where, like, I don't have to chew, just go into a coma for a few weeks. They pull me out of it. Like, not a vacation. I just want a coma. That's all I want. Something medically induced, no brain damage. Now, I'm almost remiss to ask this, so I'm not going to ask it in a conventional way, but what's coming on Saturday or Sunday or next week? Like, what do you got in the pipe? I don't want to say, like, what's coming up for 2022 because it's just next week. But, like, what are you working on now? Because, you know, you've been someone who has been able to iterate. I think is a word that when I think about you, that's what I think is, like, iteration. Even going through your Instagram feed, in a 6 months, you can see a change in aesthetic or camera quality or angles or equipment or tone or topics, watching the podcast, seeing you now in this, this acoustic treated, what is to be known as your laundry room. Like, what's the next iteration? I guess would probably be the best way to ask. Like, what's coming up next for Joe D?
Yeah, this Rebuilt 2.0 program has been my main focus, putting a lot of time and energy in that. So that's like very, very near future, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. We're hoping to have that out. And as you know, like a lot of it might just, it's my new program, but there's so much shit. I really wanted to do this one right. So behind the scenes, like filming the exercise library and coming up website for it and putting the ebook. I didn't want to just have the program. There's some nutrition information, and it's just, there's a lot of, besides the program, that's like one of 100 things that needs to get done. So finishing up that and hopefully launching that by early January. That's big. We're building a new website for, a lot of people don't even know because I don't market it a ton, because it just started out for my in-person clients, but we do offer a private supplement line for, we ship just in the US. It's not worldwide yet, but the supplements that helped me, I called it Operation Rebuild Joe D, like my initial transformation from 230 to 198, 200 with my nutritionist, Dr. Tom Bilella, really helped change my life. And a couple key supplements that help, things that I consider foundational. I'm not a big supplement guy. I'm not going to get into that's a whole nother industry that's sketchier than the personal training industry. But, a quality protein powder, fish oil, magnesium, vitamin D, like there are some foundational type things that have helped me. So we're building a website. We had like a shitty makeshift website for that stuff just because there was a higher demand for it. So we just kind of got it out, which I do think, as a little sidebar lesson, you touched on it before, like people get that paralysis by overanalysis, like they get frozen, do shit. Like even the supplement thing, I had a quality line that I had been taking that I had an opportunity to offer to other people. The website wasn't great. It was kind of shitty, but I knew the products themselves were super high quality. I had been taking them for over 2 years, helped me. Instead of like overanalyzing and agonizing, we got it out there. We did shit. We got it out, but now we're taking a step back, and now we want the website to match the quality of the actual products. So we're updating that. In another 1 to 2 months, we'll have a nice, new, clean website that matches the quality of the products. But instead of waiting 2 years to put this shit out, like we got it out. The website wasn't great, but I think since I've been around for 25 years and people know I don't just push anything, I endorse very few products and supplements. They trusted me enough to say, website's a little bit shitty, but the products are quality. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there. Like, just go do shit. Like, go do and then think later. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like Jordan mentioned, my original YouTube and social media content, I used to film myself with a shitty camera. Like, I still don't have a full-time camera guy. Like, some shit you just put out because it's quality information. And then, you try to evolve, and then you get yourself a cameraman and better quality. But don't not do stuff just because you don't have the perfect soundproof studio. Like Jordan was doing his podcast out of his freaking, gym bag. I was doing the same thing. And then 5 years later, I got somewhat of a studio. What if I would have waited 5 years? Who knows? I would have never gotten the podcast done. So just a little lesson to be there on the supplement end of things. We're working on that. And then also with our certification, Smitty and I are thinking about adding a youth development aspect, kind of a branch off of our base CPPS level 1 and level 2, and do a youth development certification, which I think is, by the way, you guys did a podcast on training youth and youth development a couple weeks ago. It was awesome. I listened to it during my morning cardio. But yeah, so we've actually been working on a youth development cert, because now my girls are 10, playing soccer and seeing like what goes on in gym classes and how, it's just an afterthought for kids. And I think my first 5 to 7 years, even though I had a decent amount of pro athletes, a lot of people don't know, the majority of my clientele was 7 to 13 years old, my almost first decade in this industry. So that's something I've kind of, my passion has kind of I regained a passion for the youth development now that my kids are that age where they're playing sports, but they're still young and working with their soccer team a little bit. Like, man, there's so many things that could be better in school and youth programs. Maybe we could tap into that a bit too. So those are like I got a million things going on. Those are the big three that are like within the next month or so that we're really working hard on.
The one thing I wanted to highlight is that Joe DeFranco listens to my podcast. So we're done now. The podcast is over. This is the last episode.
Oh, dude,
we're done.
You're on the short list.
That's
you
wild.
guys are on the short list.
Dude, it's crazy because if you were wearing like monk robes rather than a white Rocky hoodie, what you just said about like iteration and just starting is like, you're the meathead messiah, man. Like, you're the truth, you're the goat. But no, like, because people hear the Jersey accent and they miss the wisdom. They're like, this guy's gonna beat the shit out of you at a red light. They're like, no, like, what you just said is what everyone needs to hear. And if we dressed you up like fucking the Dalai Lama, it would be like a little bit more impact. Maybe I can get James in post to like put a big like smock on him or something. But no, I mean, like, that's just proof of concept. Like, the importance of iteration, like just starting and like, okay, this plate's spinning over here, the supplement website's up, I'm gonna go do this program. My girls are 10, I'm interested in sports performance, I started my career here, I started West Side for Skinny Bastards, now I'm doing Rebuild Joe. Like, it's just your ability to like hyperlink within your own life has been really cool to watch throughout your career. And I think it's something that people like, they can learn, like, oh man, the cone trick. I'm literally going to do combine prep I leave for Tampa on Monday. Me and Yo Murphy and Brandon Marshall are going to be doing combine.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and guess who's coming out with the left-hand start? This guy.
Left-hand start on the 3-cone drill. You get the right-hand touch in 2 steps instead of 2.5.
I'm fucking tagging you in it. But it's like, you could learn that, but I think the bigger takeaway is like the between the lines curriculum. Like, watching like what you do more so, or like how you do what you do, not just what you do, if that makes sense. But you're
and doing it. It made me I wanted to bring up, we were talking before, you were mentioning like younger coaches and stuff. I used to give a talk about, I still do, just haven't done it in a while with COVID, but like kind of like the secret how to get noticed in the crowded fitness industry, or the secret, and everybody's like wanting to hear what's the secret? Like, how do you do it? My first slide literally says, go do shit. And it's just how I got a lot of things that happened in my business that were like turning points were because I just went and did shit. The first group of high school kids I ever trained, I did it for free just because when I had the storage closet, I needed to get the ball rolling and nobody even knew I was there. So I got 3 kids that went to my old high school, offered to train them for free. This ties it back into the West Side for Skinny Bastards. They happen to be very good friends with Brian Cushing, who was the #1 rated linebacker, high school linebacker in the country that year, who happened to go to my old high school. They bring him in because that would have never happened if I didn't offer them free sessions to start with. They start seeing results. They love training with me. They're wearing their DeFranco's t-shirt to school. Oh, we're friends with Brian Cushing. Can he come in for a workout? Hell yeah, he could come in for a workout. We hit it off. He becomes like my poster child client for the next 20 years and probably responsible for like 85% of the high school football players that walked into my gym because they all wanted to be like him. But the lesson there, and then I wrote the West Side for Skinny Bastards based on that was my group of high school kids I was training that time and seeing these incredible results, shared it in that article, which led to me getting paid to then write articles for a period of time all started by me going and doing shit. Hey, kids, I'll train you for free. Just tell your friends about it, and hopefully I can get some clients to start paying me, and then I get this client who ends up going to the, first round draft pick in the NFL 4 or 5 years down the road, writing for people start paying me to write for them. And the shit started snowballing, and it all happened because I did shit. I didn't read about how to become a better trainer. I didn't read a business book. I fucking started in a storage closet and started doing shit. I offered to train people for free, and then things start happening. You need to do shit in order for shit to start happening.
Dude, you're my favorite, man. I think let's wrap it there. I appreciate your time as always. Hopefully next time I'll drift through town and bring my backpack set up again. You'll be 3% body fat and training everyone in the first round. I'm gonna steal your trick next weekend. And
dude, call me if I could help at all with the combine stuff, man. That was my jam years ago, so I miss it. If I could help you with anything, let me know.
Oh, for sure, man. You're gonna regret that, but I'm literally gonna hit you up this weekend.
Yes, so dude, send me videos of dudes running 10s, 40s. That I love that shit. I have 20,000 electrically timed 10-yard sprints on video. So yeah, I think I could still help you out with some stuff.
Dude,
there.
done deal. You've been helping me long before we met, and you'll continue to do so into the future, man. I appreciate your time as always.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks, brother. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Cheers, man.
Love it.
Thanks so much. We'll see you.